What's advertised as an online store selling dog meat turns out to be internet fraud. And Arab and Muslim ministers in Beijing urging an end to the war in Gaza. Hello and welcome to TVB News. What was advertised as an online store selling dog meat turned out to be scammers trying to steal money from unsuspecting customers. On Sunday, police launched an investigation after the Agriculture, Fisheries and Conservation Department discovered an online advertisement promoting dog meat. Mimmo Singhai has more.
Many Hong Kong people were angered by this Facebook post that openly promoted the sale of dog meat for consumption. The post says customers can choose from 2 flavors. A slogan even says enjoy some fresh and delicious dog meat. After launching a probe, police discovered that it had nothing to do with dog meat but was instead a trap. The operators of the online shop are scammers, they said. They will contact interested customers via WhatsApp and demand $30 as a deposit. Android phone customers will also receive a phishing link asking them to install a delivery app that hacks into their smartphone's operating system. Scammers can then obtain a person's mobile operation authorization and set up a fake online banking login webpage. Individuals will be asked to provide bank or personal details, allowing scammers to transfer money from their savings accounts. Apple iOS users, meanwhile, are asked to pay into the donation bank account of the Hong Kong Homeless Dog Shelter organization. The shelter clarified that they have never sold dog meat and have reported the incident to the police. Angela Chan, founder of the dog charity, condemned the scammers. It is scary that online scams are ubiquitous. I don't know what to say. I don't know how this incident happened, she said. Speaking to the press today, police said 11 reports related to the scam have been filed, involving $1.36 million. While no arrests have been made so far, the investigation is ongoing to identify possible cases of animal cruelty. Authorities urge the public to stay alert when it comes to online posts and always install apps through credible channels. Mimmo Singhai, TVB News.
The territory-wide system assessment, which had been suspended for 3 years due to the pandemic, has resumed. Results show a drop in the attainment rates of students taking the assessment in Chinese, English, and mathematics. The assessment, commonly known as TSA, takes into account the performances of Primary 3, Primary 6, and Secondary 3 students in the 3 subjects. This time around, the drop in attainment rates is most obvious among Primary 6 students. Only 65% of them met the required standards in English. The Education Bureau says the result reflects a similar drop in student performances during the epidemic in large-scale international assessments. The drop is considered largely within an acceptable range. Foreign Minister Wang Yi today welcomed 5 Arab and Islamic counterparts to Beijing to discuss the Israel-Hamas conflict. Wang told them China would work with, quote, our brothers and sisters in the Arab and Islamic world to try to end the fighting in Gaza as soon as possible. The visiting delegation represents officials from Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Egypt, Indonesia, Palestine, and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. They are calling for an end to the fighting to allow humanitarian aid into Gaza. Wang said the fact that they chose Beijing as their first stop on a diplomatic tour showed their high level of trust in China. China has long backed the Palestinians and been quick to criticize Israel over its settlements in the occupied territories. Beijing has not condemned Hamas's attack on October 7th. The Iranian-backed Houthi militia group in Yemen has seized a British-owned and Japanese-operated cargo ship in the southern Red Sea. Israel has described the incident as, quote, an Iranian act of terrorism. The Houthis insisted the ship was Israeli and have taken it to a Yemeni port. The crew of 25 are from the Philippines, Bulgaria, Ukraine, Romania, and Mexico. Japan has condemned the attack, with Chief Cabinet Secretary Hirokazu Matsuno saying there were no Japanese nationals on board the ship called the Galaxy Leader. It is owned by Raycar Carriers, which is registered in the Isle of Man. The company is a unit of Tel Aviv incorporated Ray Shipping, according to London Stock Exchange Group data. The Iranian-allied Houthis have been firing rockets into Israel in solidarity with Palestinian group Hamas. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said on Sunday that Israel had failed to achieve victory in its war against Hamas. He also urged Muslim countries with political ties to Israel to at least cut them for a limited time. Khamenei made his comments while attending an exhibition showcasing the, quote, latest achievements of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Aerospace Force. Khamenei said some Muslim governments sometimes condemn Israel's bombings in Gaza during assemblies, while some don't. Quote, this is not enough, he said, urging these countries to cut off oil, energy, and goods to the Zionist regime. He said for a year or less, Muslim countries should cut Israel off if they want, quote, these crimes to stop. Israel has close ties with Palestinian group Hamas. And the U.S. is remembering former First Lady of the U.S., Rosalynn Carter, who has died peacefully at the age of 96. She was President Jimmy Carter's lifelong love for nearly 80 years and his closest advisor, including his time in the White House. It has been said she redefined what it meant to be a First Lady. NBC's Kelly O'Donnell looks back at her achievements.
The long and consequential life of Rosalynn Carter ended today where it began, at home in Plains, Georgia, with family by her side. She had entered home hospice care Friday, and when she passed away this afternoon, President Carter shared this. Rosalynn was my equal partner in everything I ever accomplished. She gave me wise guidance and encouragement when I needed it. As long as Rosalynn was in the world, I always knew somebody loved and supported me. At age 99, President Carter has been in home hospice care for 9 months. Their last public appearance was in September, and a surprise, one last ride in the Plains Peanut Festival. Their marriage spanned longer than any other first couple, more than 77 years. But more than time, they shared their life's work, values, and remarkably, their childhoods, too. She was born Eleanor Rosalynn Smith, a neighbor to the Carters.
I was shy and found out that he was so easy to talk to, and we just kind of hit it off really well, and I think I was already in love with him.
A proud Navy wife when they married in 1946. Later, she helped manage the family peanut business and community ties that led to politics. First elected Georgia governor in 1970, Rosalynn brought her enthusiasm to an improbable campaign.
And people got to know him, and when they know him, they vote for him.
Thank you both very much.
And she's completely objective and unbiased.
I love politics.
A small-town girl who was at ease on the national stage and comfortable asserting her influence.
I was involved with the selection of the vice president.
She attended cabinet meetings, developed her own policy issues, including mental health, and in a rare move, testified before Congress.
I am here as a concerned citizen.
A self-made diplomat acting as a personal emissary of the president in Latin America and Asia.
I think that I am the person closest to the President of the United States, and if I can help him in understanding the countries of the world, then that's what I intend to do.
The Carters were, of course, tested by defeat when a difficult economy and the Iran hostage crisis led to a bitter loss against Ronald Reagan in 1980. Disappointment opened new doors. The creation of the Carter Center, where they extended their public service, committed to human rights, global health, and building homes with Habitat for Humanity. In 1999, they were each awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
I think now is one of the happiest times of my life. There is life after the White House.
Mother of 4, grandmother and great-grandmother, a First Lady, Rosalynn Carter served others with modesty, grit, and charm.
Still ahead, food and beverage, retail, and security, the top 3 sectors applying for imported workers. In Argentina, a right-wing candidate storms to victory in the country's presidential runoff. And Napoleon's hat fetches a record $2.1 million at auction in Paris. Welcome back to TVB News. The Labor Department has so far received almost 1,500 applications under the Enhanced Supplementary Labor Scheme to import some 15,000 workers. It's believed most of the employers involved are trying to fill vacancies in the food and beverage sector. Sharon Tang reports.
How many people are needed in the F&B sector? These customers say they can feel how bad the manpower shortage is. This man says he's been sitting there for 10 minutes and there is no one to take order from him. This woman says it's hard to get something such as water from the waiters, and she thinks the service is no good. The Enhanced Supplementary Labor Scheme has been open for applications since September. Employers can apply to import workers for 26 low-skilled job categories. So far, authorities have received 1,461 applications involving more than 15,000 imported workers. F&B, retail and security are the sectors with the highest number of applications. Chairman of the Institute of Dining Professionals, Ray Cho, says the sector needs at least 60,000 more workers. He says the 50 restaurants that he owns have to fill 150 job vacancies, and this time he has applied for 80 imported workers. Meanwhile, a representative of the property management sector says the industry is facing a shortage of at least 40,000 security guards. He said he's shocked to find that some high-end housing estates are offering as much as $30,000 a month to hire a security guard. Others say the professional requirements of retail staff are not that high and that imported workers from the Greater Bay Area would have the advantage of being able to communicate fluently with Putonghua-speaking travelers. Sharon Tang, TVB News.
Lai Ching-te has named Taiwan's former envoy to the United States, Xiao Bi-kim, as his running mate in January's election. The two met the press this afternoon. The 52-year-old Xiao studied in the U.S. The high-profile diplomat has extensive connections in Washington. In 2022, she helped then U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi arrange a visit to the island. Beijing last year denounced her as a separatist. The State Council's Taiwan Affairs Office last week referred to Lai and Xiao as, quote, an independence double act. A right-wing candidate who counts Donald Trump among his supporters has stormed to victory in Argentina's presidential runoff. A cornerstone of his campaign is reducing ties with China. Javier Milei took 56% of the vote against Sergio Massa, who represented the current government. David Garrett reports.
Buenos Aires, a city known for late-night parties. For Javier Milei's supporters, these celebrations went into the early hours as their new political hero began to think about forming a government. He had won the presidency, beating Sergio Massa in a runoff. Introduced by campaign manager and sister Karina at his own party. Running as a political outsider, the 53-year-old with a television background became a congressman only in 2020. Now he is Argentina's top politician. His followers call him an honest libertarian. The right-winger told them, today brings an end to the state shared among politicians and their friends. This decadence comes to an end.
Ese es el momento.
Earlier, he seized the moment when voting. It was the leather jacket rather than the suit jacket. The tie was nowhere to be seen. His relaxed style has impressed voters. He encouraged fans to chant. Out with the lot of them became the slogan as they urged the country to change course and ditch Massa's Peronist party. It sounded like a football song in this soccer-crazy country, and Milei was about to get the result. He almost was a professional footballer, but became an economist at HSBC. His policies are radical at a time of economic hardship for Argentinians. The reformer wants to ditch the peso in favour of the US dollar and cut any reliance on China. He has heavily criticised neighbour Brazil and its left-wing leader Luis Lula da Silva and has called for a referendum on outlawing abortion. Having won, how quickly Milei can implement these policies is unclear. The loser in this tight and at times bitter campaign was Massa. The economic minister turned presidential candidate failed to shake off the shadow of rampant 140% inflation. With 44% of the vote, it is the biggest ever defeat for Peronist politics.
Obviamente, los resultados no son los que esperábamos.
Obviously, the results are not what we expected, Massa said. I wish him luck because he is the president. Javier Milei will be inaugurated on December 10th. He borrowed a phrase from a prominent presidential promoter of his, promising to make Argentina great again. David Garrett, TVB News.
And to Europe, where a hat worn by Napoleon Bonaparte has sold at auction in Paris for more than $2 million US. A collector, Jean-Louis Noissuez, spent 50 years hoarding various memorabilia. He died last year and his items went up for auction. Napoleon's trademark black hat was the showpiece. The French leader, who lived from 1769 to 1821, is synonymous with hats and this style known as en bataille or in battle. Napoleon's large felt hats were designed so that he stood out on the battlefield. The sale came days before the release of a U.S. film about the general starring Joaquin Phoenix. The auction was fierce as bidding went higher and higher. The hat went for more than double the expected price. Eventually, the auctioneer's hammer came down at a record price of $2.1 million US. That's the news. Thanks for watching. Pearl Magazine is up shortly. See you then.